It just amazes me the amount of evidence, and I'm going to run over it real quick. Right here is where I'm going to start here. There's a drug rehab counselor named Christy Ott. She contacted me first on YouTube and then sent me a note on Facebook under this Allison Mack was her name she went by on Facebook. And I'll quickly read what she wrote me, okay? She said, the guy she said she was traded by her mother for a drug balance of 135 worth of meth. While she was in the care of the dealer, she flipped out, and then they shot her up with something. She overdosed and died. The guy who confessed to me said he took her back to her mother, and they stuffed her in a box. He described the way they had to bend her and break her to fit, and then they buried her on a ranch outside Odessa. What you're going to see here, this is one person, okay, that has been saying that that Hailey was overdosed and murdered in Odessa. Okay, and here is an email that I got sent, and in this couple of years ago, I just ran across this again, and this basically the same person. And since he did have a hand in stuffing a child's body inside of a safe, he inflicted harm on a child. Anything involving the harm of a child must be reported. This was her talking to her supervisors. She's upset because for whatever reason, she quit, actually. I think she went to the Odessa PD, Midland PD, and the Midland FBI. And then his confession of the involvement in 3 separate homicides, one of them being the son of a counselor, and I'm not sure who that is. But anyway, this is all on my Facebook. Same person there, Christy. Okay, so that's only one person, okay? And News West 9 reported, okay, and this was in 2012, that a different woman said Hailey Dunn was over at a home over in Odessa and overdosed. Now, that's the same thing that Christy said, that this guy named Brett Bushman told her, okay, and she was convinced, of course. That was easy to see. And here this woman saying the same thing. She saw a young girl matching Dunn's description. You can Google this and find that held against her will and drugged in Odessa home. That's the same story from a different person, okay? She finally died of an overdose, okay? And this goes on how they were laughing in her face and some other information. So that's Sonia Renee Callahan. And then Christy Otts, and then this Taryn Thomas, she writes on my Facebook and says, I think it's safe to say we all know that her mom, stepdad, as well as Hailey were on dope. People in Odessa have been saying the same for years. And then Julie Brendel says, I heard the same but slightly different version from a friend that talked to a man that said she did it. That said he did it. Anyway, Julie Brendel, mom did sell her, and I'll write my deal. And here's Taryn Thomas. This is really interesting. They had Hailey for a good while. Hailey knew who had her, and it wasn't a hostage situation. People said they had heard people had gone to the house while she was there, and she was walking around like it was her house. But what was weird, I heard was from more than 10 people that they shaved her head like 2 weeks before she supposedly overdosed. Why shave her head if you aren't trying to hide her? Now, supposedly she was buried in that same house's backyard. What was interesting, a private investigator named Brenda Paradise out of Houston had already told me that when they found the remains, they didn't find any hair with the remains, which confirmed the story of Taryn and her 10 friends or whatever. And so now we got 3 people documented saying that Hailey died in Odessa, at a home over in Odessa, overdose, 3 of them, okay? And then here's another one, Brandy Dunn. She says it happens at Brooke Owensby's house. And she goes on, she wants me to put out something that says Casey Frazee and Dustin Braddock wasn't there, and said there was a video. And I said, there's a video? And she says, yeah. And said this murder was tied to the murder of Cody Mercer over in Odessa. And I said, what video? And then she tells me the police or the cops have the video. And I'm going, wow, that's interesting. Okay, so what is that? 4 or 5 people now that are all saying Hailey was overdosed and died in Odessa? Okay. Okay, let's start on this one. This is somebody called me up and said, "Hey, there's this phone call out there on Blog Talk Radio. It wasn't mine." And a person named Allison Frazier talking to this blogger, this Hailey Dunn blogger. She was recorded and didn't know it was posted on the internet. And here I'm just going to read this short little bit. It's longer. You can go check it out if you want. While crying, Allison said, "It kills me that he did this to that little girl, but she's not the only one." And Hailey didn't die after about it. Hailey was walking to a friend's house. I'm not sure it was down an alley or what. Look, I have the full deal from Birdie because he told me what happened. That's my baby daddy. Okay, Birdie is Kevin Rickman. He's the guy doing life sentence because they drugged a guy, put him on a train track, and set him on fire. Okay, and so Birdie is telling his baby mama, Allison, says Birdie was crying and telling me that he needed me to know. Okay, he dropped down his knees and he was crying. He said that there were these people that owed him some money and he had to take care of it. That sounds exactly like Christy said, Brett said, right? $135. Hailey was still missing at the time. She wasn't dead yet. They got Hailey for a drug deal like a debt. That's also the same thing Renee Sonia Callahan said. She said it was a family drug debt. The mom and the boyfriend knew that was going to happen. That's what that was said by somebody else too. And Birdie was like, "I'll take care of her a couple of days, pimp her out, and get my bunny back." And that's what they did. And he was telling me they had kidnapped Hailey, him, Birdie, Plastic, and somebody else. Okay, that's on the phone call. So I'm just reading my notes off of it, but you can listen to the phone call and do exact words. And then this one here. And I've sent this to law enforcement, and I didn't want to release the person's name, and so I redacted the names out of here, but I wanted everybody to see already that's the fifth and now the sixth person, and here's what this person said on a phone call to me that was recorded. It says, "I can tell you that blank lived in Big Springs, and she's a big-time lady, and she made it clear to these guys that she was tired of people taking advantage of her, and that this, the murder of Hailey Dunn, would be an example of what would happen if these son of biggies didn't come up with some money," and I'm talking about Hailey. Over $130. They killed that girl. Now remember, Chris Yacht said that Brad Butchon said it was $135. So she corrected the amount. So the word would get out. Look here, all you son of bitches. If I'm going to do it for $130 and it's going to be a woman's daughter, don't think you won't be had for $5,000 that you owe me or how much everybody owes. She's explaining to me why they murdered Hailey. Okay, and says, "Who all did you hear was there?" And she names all these people. And I forgot to block that one out, but it was Max Mays was one of them. And it says, "You see, blank is first in charge, and then blank." And these were Aryan Brotherhood, because all the people that's named in here and over here, they're all Aryan Brotherhood. It's a white supremacist gang. It says, "I don't know if blank was there or not," talking about the murder of Hailey. I know that when he talked to me at this house, he was crying, and he asked me, he says, "When I have to stand in front of God, do you think they're going to forgive me?" So this guy, she's telling me, this guy's standing in front of her crying and asking her, "Do you think God's going to forgive me?" And she says back to him, "Did you have anything to do with it?" And he says, "No, but I was there and I could have stopped it." Talking about stop the murder of Hailey Dunn. And he says, and she asked him, she said, "How could you have stopped it?" And he says, "I could have shot the son of a bitch, and I'm going to do it before it's all over." And he's talking about, and he names the person that did it. The person that shot up Hailey Dunn, a hot shot. They gave her a shot and killed her on purpose because that drug dealer said so. This is eating him up inside because he apparently witnessed everything. So that there's all these people. So that all this I don't know why they, nobody is saying that Billie Dunn was there. I mean, they might have owed for some meth, but I don't think Billie or Sean was there. And even Clint said the other day that law enforcement told him that Billie didn't kill her. And I agree with law enforcement on that. And also, when I talked to Clint the other day, he told me he agreed with Sonia Renee Callahan on the phone. And I recorded that phone call too. And so something real fishy's going on, because it seems like they're trying to hang the mother and that boyfriend when they're going after the wrong people. Now how did I get involved? 2 days after I wrote the Department of Justice on March 14th, 2013, I suggested that they come here to Midland. They look in the underground facility by this house that that multiple people have told me is here, including Rhonda Denman Rogers said it was a half block away. Okay, so here's the date on the email, 3/14/13. It was sent to the Department of Justice, Project Safe Child Problem here in Midland, Texas. I have overwhelming evidence to support allegations of an underground facility. Hailey Dunn, maybe she's being held by these slavers below my home right now. Okay, so on March 14, 2013, 2 days later, she is found in Scurry County over by Sean's house or by Sean's family's house. Okay, in an area multiple people have told me was already searched. So what I believe is she was dug up and moved over there to be found because of this email. And so that's really my connection. I mean, I got multiple people saying she was killed and buried over in Odessa. And so, I don't know why this isn't being reported. I don't know why none of the news stations report it, because I'm the messenger here. I'm the one showing you. I'm not telling you so-and-so said. I'm showing you. There's 3 of these that are recorded phone calls. Buddy Webb, Midland, Texas.
I asked him about the pizza parties. They said they're not called pizza parties, but I know what you're talking about.
Right, the pedophile parties.
Yes.
And see, a couple weeks, you probably read all this before, but a couple weeks after I got out of the hospital, that ex-wife comes by my home and she says, "You don't know how many lives you ruined with your idiocy." And of course, my idiocy was staying home and minding my own business. I'm shot inside my home. And but what she was saying was a lot of people were here and they're going to have their lives ruined. And
do you know about how many feet that gun pushed through? How much ground it was? Because he said that these houses are 25 feet under, at least 25 exactly.